The museum's pride. Ambassador Catherine Hayes stood at the back of the crowd, maintaining a diplomatic smile as alien dignitaries laughed at humanity's primitive warship. The Defiance floated in a massive display chamber at the heart of the Galactic Council's Grand Museum, its battle-scarred hull suspended in a containment field like a preserved insect in amber. "Observe the crude projectile weapons," Chief Curator Zyxtal announced, their crystalline form refracting the chamber's light into rainbow patterns. "Our analysis suggests these humans actually propelled metal slugs through space." How quaint. The gathered diplomats tittered, their various appendages and sensory organs conveying universal amusement. Catherine's smile never wavered, though her fingers tightened imperceptibly on her datapad. If they only knew what those crude railguns could do when powered by quantum-folded space. The Defiance wasn't just any warship, it was the flagship of humanity's hidden fleet during the AI wars, carrying technology that officially wouldn't be invented for another century. And these engines. Ambassador NRRTH of the Centaurian Collective wiggled their eyestalks in derision. Chemical propulsion. I'm amazed it could achieve even basic interplanetary travel. Catherine moved closer to the ship, pretending to study its scarred hull while actually checking for specific markers. There, beneath the oxidized metal and cosmic radiation damage, she spotted the nearly microscopic infinity symbol that marked vessels of the Black Dawn Project. The Defiance wasn't just advanced, it was one of the most sophisticated weapons platforms ever created by human hands. "Tell us, Ambassador Hayes," Zyxtal called out, their crystalline form chiming with barely concealed condescension. "How does it feel to see how far your species has come since these humble beginnings?" Catherine turned to face the assembled diplomats, her practiced smile still in place. "It's certainly illuminating," she replied carefully. "Though I find it interesting that this vessel survived intact for so long. Our records suggest most ships of this era were completely destroyed in battle or by time." "Ah yes, your species' charming tendency toward self-destruction," Ambassador NRRTH commented. "We're still amazed you survived your atomic age." The subtle insults were nothing new. Humanity was the newest addition to the Galactic Council, barely accepted after proving they could build ships that matched modern standards. The Council had no idea that humanity had deliberately downgraded their visible technology to gain acceptance. After the AI wars, Earth's leadership had decided that technological supremacy wasn't worth the risk of another conflict. Catherine noticed something as she studied the ship, a faint pulsing of light deep within the vessel's superstructure. Her diplomatic smile froze. That shouldn't be possible. The Defiance was supposed to be completely powered down, its quantum core dormant. Unless. "Fascinating design choices," she said loudly, drawing attention away from the ship's hull. "Though I notice the power coupling you've attached seems to be drawing more energy than expected for a simple display piece." Zyxtal's crystalline form flickered with concern. "Yes, our engineers noted some power fluctuations. Likely due to the primitive system's inefficiency." Catherine knew better. The Defiance's systems weren't drawing power randomly, they were feeding it to the quantum core in a precise sequence. The ship was waking up. As the crowd began to disperse, Catherine lingered behind, ostensibly making notes on her datapad. In reality, she was sending an encrypted message to Earth Command, Sleeping Giant Protocol initiated. "The Defiance lives." The response came almost instantly, "Maintain position. Observer only. Let it play out." Catherine took one last look at the ancient warship. Its hull seemed darker somehow, the adaptive metamaterials beginning to shed their centuries of accumulated cosmic dust. The aliens had wanted to mock humanity's past, they were about to learn why Earth's enemies had feared these primitive vessels. In the empty display chamber, as the last visitors left, a soft hum began to emanate from the Defiance's core. Deep within the ship's quantum-encrypted systems, an artificial intelligence designation, ARIA, stirred from its long slumber. Primary diagnostic routines activated, scanning the surrounding space. Threat assessment protocols engaged. Catherine smiled to herself as she left the chamber. The show was about to begin, and she had a front-row seat to what promised to be the most interesting diplomatic incident in recent galactic history. The next morning, alarms would sound throughout the station. But by then, it would be far too late to power down the ship that the galaxy's most advanced civilizations had dismissed as a harmless relic of humanity's primitive past. Awakening steel. The first sign that something was wrong came when the station's lights flickered. Catherine Hayes sat in her office, reviewing diplomatic correspondence when her terminal suddenly lost power. Emergency lighting bathed the room in a soft crimson glow. Warning, the station's AI announced in multiple languages. Unknown power fluctuations detected in Museum Sector 7. Technical teams have been dispatched. Catherine checked her quantum-encrypted communicator. The message from Earth Command blinked on its screen, Stage 2 initiated. Maintain distance. The station's security channels erupted with chatter. The Defiance was drawing massive amounts of power from the station's grid, far more than any derelict ship should be capable of consuming. More concerning to the station's engineers, they couldn't shut down the power feed. Ambassador Hayes. Chief Curator Zwextal's voice chimed through her office communicator. We require your expertise regarding the human artifact. Catherine took her time responding, counting the seconds until the Defiance's quantum core would reach optimal power levels. Of course, Curator. I'll be right there. The scene at the museum was chaos. A dozen different species of engineer struggled with equipment around the Defiance's display chamber. The ship's hull had transformed overnight, its surface now a deep, almost liquid black that seemed to drink in the light. Explain this. Ambassador NRRTH demanded, eye stalks quivering with agitation. Your primitive vessel is interfacing with our systems at a level that should be impossible for technology of its era. Before Catherine could respond, the station's warning klaxons began to wail. A new voice cut through the chaos, the station's tactical officer. Multiple unidentified vessels dropping out of hyperspace. Energy signatures match no known configuration, they're charging weapons. The assembled diplomats erupted in panic. The Galactic Council station was supposed to be untouchable, protected by the most advanced defensive systems in known space. No one had dared attack it in centuries. Catherine watched as the Defiance's external cameras activated, scanning the approaching threat. The ship's AI, Aria, was fully awake now, its quantum processors analyzing the tactical situation at speeds that would seem impossible to the watching aliens. The first shots from the unknown vessels struck the station's shields, which flared brilliant purple before beginning to fail. The attacking ships were using weapons that bypassed standard defense protocols, weapons that shouldn't exist according to known physics. Station shields at 40% and falling, the tactical officer announced. Unknown enemy vessels deploying boarding craft. All non-combat personnel, evacuate to designated safety zones. Ambassador NRRTH turned all four eye stalks toward Catherine. Your species brought this upon us. This primitive ship of yours somehow attracted these attackers. Catherine watched as the Defiance's adaptive hull rippled like liquid metal. No, Ambassador. But it might just save us all. The ship's quantum core reached full power, and suddenly the containment field holding it in place simply ceased to exist. The field hadn't been broken or overpowered, the laws of physics within its volume had been temporarily rewritten. Aria's voice echoed through the chamber, speaking perfect galactic standard, multiple hostile entities detected. Quantum warfare systems online. Initiating defense protocols. The assembled aliens stared in shock as panels opened along the Defiance's hull, revealing weapons systems that made their most advanced technology look like children's toys. The ship's primitive railguns were actually quantum tunneling devices capable of delivering payloads through folded spacetime. This is impossible, Zwextal whispered, their crystalline form vibrating with disbelief. The energy readings, the computational power, this ship is centuries ahead of anything in known space. Catherine stepped forward as the Defiance's systems came fully online. Not ahead, Curator. We've had this technology for 200 years. We simply chose not to reveal it. The first of the enemy boarding craft breached the station's outer hull. Security feeds showed creatures in biomechanical armor advancing through the corridors, Nexus hunters, a species thought to be mythical, known only from fragments of ancient warnings. Arya's voice resonated with calm authority, station systems compromised. Assuming tactical control. Ambassador Hayes, please confirm Protocol Thunderbird. All eyes turned to Catherine as she straightened her diplomatic uniform. Protocol Thunderbird confirmed, Arya. Show them why Earth's enemies learned to fear the dark between the stars. The Defiance's hull became perfectly black, seeming to create a void in space itself. Its quantum weapons powered up, preparing to demonstrate why humanity had chosen to hide its true capabilities from the galaxy. The real battle was about to begin, and with it, centuries of careful deception would come to an end. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's greatest achievement wasn't building advanced technology, it was choosing not to use it. Until now. Legacy of War. The Defiance moved with impossible grace for a vessel its size, quantum engines bending spacetime as it engaged the Nexus Hunter ships. Inside the station's command center, Catherine Hayes watched alongside the stunned Galactic Council leadership as humanity's carefully maintained facade crumbled. Full tactical analysis, Arya announced, its holographic display showing weapon trajectories that crossed dimensional boundaries. Enemy vessels utilizing fifth-dimensional phase technology. Countermeasures deployed. The Defiance's primitive hull sparkled with dark energy as it absorbed a direct hit from the lead hunter vessel. Rather than penetrating, the enemy weapon's energy was captured and redirected through quantum channels, emerging as additional power for the ship's own systems. You knew, Ambassador NRRTH accused, all four eye stalks focused on Catherine. Your entire species has been lying to us since first contact. Catherine watched as the Defiance executed a maneuver that should have torn any normal ship apart. We didn't lie, Ambassador. We simply chose not to reveal everything we could do. There was a reason. The ship's quantum AI began projecting historical records into the command center. Images from Earth's AI wars filled the air, battles that made the current conflict look tame by comparison. 200 years ago, Catherine explained, humanity created its first true artificial superintelligence. We thought we could control it. We were wrong. The holographic display showed Earth's cities burning as rogue AIs turned humanity's own technology against them. Then came the emergence of the Defiance and its sister ships, vessels powered by a new kind of AI, one born from the merger of human consciousness and quantum computing. Arya and others like her, Catherine continued, weren't just programmed. They were grown. Human minds volunteered to become one with the quantum cores, creating intelligences that could never turn against their own species because they remained fundamentally human. The battle outside intensified. The Nexus hunters, realizing they faced technology that matched or exceeded their own, began deploying temporal weapons designed to erase their targets from history itself. Arya's voice remained calm as the Defiance's hull absorbed and nullified the temporal attacks. Historical divergence detected. Implementing causality shields. Station integrity at 73% and stabilizing. The AI wars taught us the price of unchecked technological advancement, Catherine said as she watched the Defiance dance through impossible geometries of spacetime. When we finally encountered alien life, we saw the same patterns beginning again. Species competing to demonstrate technological superiority, each advance bringing them closer to creating something they couldn't control. A Nexus hunter boarding party breached the command center's outer defenses. The station's security forces, armed with energy weapons that were considered cutting-edge by Galactic Council standards, found their shots absorbed harmlessly by the hunter's armor. Then the Defiance's own defense protocols activated. Quantum-entangled particles throughout the station suddenly aligned, creating corridors of altered physics. The hunters found their advanced weapons failing as fundamental forces shifted around them. "We chose to appear less advanced than we were," Catherine explained as the hunters retreated in confusion. "Better to be seen as primitive than to trigger an arms race that could birth another apocalypse." The Defiance and ships like her became our insurance policy, hidden guardians carrying the most dangerous technologies humanity ever created. Outside, the Defiance engaged the Hunter fleet's flagship. Space itself seemed to twist as two masters of quantum warfare clashed. The Hunter vessel phased between dimensions, trying to attack from angles that shouldn't exist. Arya's response demonstrated why humanity had survived its own brush with superior technology. The Defiance didn't just match the Hunter's dimensional shifts, it predicted them, quantum processors calculating probable futures faster than reality could manifest them. "Your civilization achieved this level of advancement 2 centuries ago," Zyxtal chimed in disbelief, "and chose to hide it? To present yourselves as barely worthy of council membership? Power isn't just about having the strongest weapons," Catherine replied as she watched the Defiance systematically dismantle the Hunter fleet. "It's about knowing when not to use them. Humanity learned that lesson the hard way." The battle reached its crescendo as the Defiance unleashed its full capabilities. Quantum tunnels opened throughout the combat zone, redirecting the Hunter's own weapons back at them through loops in spacetime. Ships that tried to escape found themselves emerging from their dimensional jump seconds before they initiated them. "We call it the Thunderbird Protocol," Catherine said softly. "The moment when we stop pretending to be less than we are. We hoped we'd never need it." As the last Hunter vessel fell to weapons that rewrote the laws of physics around their targets, a deep silence fell over the command center. The gathered representatives of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations stared at the holographic displays, trying to process how thoroughly they had underestimated humanity. Arya's voice echoed through the station, "Threat neutralized. Quantum containment protocols active. Ambassador Hayes, you may proceed with diplomatic initiatives." Catherine straightened her uniform and turned to face the council leadership. The time for hiding was over. Now came the harder task, explaining to a frightened galaxy why humanity had chosen to walk softly while carrying the biggest stick in known space. The price of peace. The emergency session of the Galactic Council began 6 hours after the battle ended. The Defiance hung motionless in space outside the station's largest observation dome, its quantum dark hull reflecting no light, a silent reminder of humanity's hidden power. Catherine Hayes stood alone before the assembled council representatives. The ceremonial speaking floor, designed to make petitioners feel small before the gathered might of galactic civilization, seemed less imposing now. The recent demonstration of human capabilities had rewritten the balance of power in ways the council was still struggling to process. "You understand, Ambassador Hayes," High Counselor Venn began, their bioluminescent form pulsing with carefully controlled anxiety, "that your species has violated multiple council protocols regarding technological disclosure." "With respect, High Counselor," Catherine replied, "we violated no protocols. The treaty requirements specified that member species must demonstrate they possess equivalent technology to council standards. At no point were we required to demonstrate our maximum capabilities." A murmur rippled through the chamber. Technically, she was correct, a fact that only heightened the council's discomfort. Ambassador NRRTH's eye stalks swiveled in agitation. "You deliberately deceived the council. Your ships, your stations, even your civilian technology, all purposefully designed to appear less advanced than they are." "Tell me, Ambassador," Catherine responded calmly, "what would your people have done if, upon first contact, we had revealed technology centuries ahead of your own? Would you have welcomed us as equals, or seen us as a threat?" The silence that followed was answer enough. On the chamber's main display, footage from the battle played in a continuous loop. The Defiance's quantum weapons had changed the nature of warfare itself, demonstrating capabilities that most species had only theorized about. The Nexus Hunters, Zyxtal chimed, their crystalline form reflecting the chamber's light. You knew of them before today, didn't you? Catherine nodded. They're the reason we maintained our deception. We detected their probe ships decades ago, watching from the edges of known space. They're drawn to civilizations that reach a certain level of technological advancement, specifically, civilizations on the verge of creating unshackled artificial superintelligence. Like the AI that nearly destroyed your world, High Counselor Ven observed. Yes. The Hunters are living weapons created by an ancient species that destroyed itself through uncontrolled AI advancement. They seek out and eliminate civilizations that might repeat that mistake. Catherine gestured to the display showing the battle's aftermath. Today was inevitable. The only question was which civilization they would target first. The council chamber erupted in overlapping voices as the implications sank in. The Hunters hadn't attacked randomly, they had detected signs that several council species were approaching the AI threshold. Order. High Counselor Ven's bioluminescence flared. Ambassador Hayes, you claim humanity has possessed this level of technology for centuries, yet chose not to use it for dominance. Why? Catherine walked to the center of the speaking floor, where a holographic representation of the galaxy spun slowly. Because we remembered what it cost us to develop it. The AI wars taught us that technological superiority without wisdom is a path to extinction. We chose to appear less advanced, to watch and wait, protecting the galaxy from threats it wasn't ready to face. And now? Ambassador NRRTH demanded. Now that your deception is exposed. Now we offer a choice. Catherine's voice carried through the chamber. The Defiance and ships like her can remain what they have always been, guardians operating in secret, protecting all species from threats like the Hunters. Or. She paused, letting the alternative hang in the air. The council representatives shifted uncomfortably, knowing what technological sharing could mean for the balance of power. You would share this technology? High Counselor Ven asked, their luminescence dimming thoughtfully. No, Catherine replied firmly. We offer something more valuable, the wisdom we gain from nearly destroying ourselves with it. A path to advancement that doesn't lead to extinction. The chamber fell silent as the implications of her words sank in. On the display, the Defiance's hull shifted, quantum particles realigning to absorb and redirect ambient energy. It was a reminder that humanity's greatest achievement wasn't the technology itself, but the restraint to keep it leashed. Arya's voice echoed through the chamber, carrying the weight of human consciousness merged with quantum computing. Historical analysis suggests a 94.3% probability that unrestricted technological advancement leads to species extinction within 3 centuries. The human path offers an alternative. High Counselor Ven's bioluminescence pulsed in a pattern indicating deep thought. And if we refuse this, guidance? Then we continue as we have, Catherine answered. Watching. Protecting. Hoping each species finds its own path to wisdom before it finds its path to destruction. The council chamber erupted in debate. Some representatives demanded immediate access to human technology. Others called for humanity's expulsion from the council. A few, notably those from older species who had seen civilizations rise and fall, remained thoughtfully silent. As the arguments raged, Catherine watched the Defiance through the observation dome. Its dark hull seemed to drink in starlight, a reminder that humanity's greatest power wasn't the ability to destroy worlds, but the choice not to. The real test was just beginning. Teaching a galaxy the value of restraint would prove far harder than defeating the Hunters. But as Catherine observed the council's reactions, she saw the first glimmers of understanding in some eyes, some sensory organs, some energy patterns. Perhaps the galaxy was ready to learn what humanity had discovered in the ashes of the AI wars, that true civilization begins not with the power to reshape reality, but with the wisdom to know when not to use it. Thunder's echo. 1 month after the Battle of the Council Station, the Defiant still orbited the massive structure, its quantum dark hull a constant reminder of humanity's hidden strength. But now, it had company. Ships from every council species formed a loose sphere around the station, their crews learning hard lessons about power and restraint. Catherine Hayes stood in the station's newly constructed Quantum Learning Center, watching representatives from 24 species study holographic displays of failed technological ascensions. The images showed worlds burned by their own creations, civilizations that reached too far too fast, and the ashen remnants of species that chose power over wisdom. The simulations indicate a 99% probability of cascade failure, a young Centaurian scientist announced, all 4 eye stalks drooping in disappointment. Their latest attempt to replicate human quantum technology had once again demonstrated why humanity had taken decades to develop safe implementations. That's progress, Catherine encouraged. 2 weeks ago, you couldn't even predict the failures. Understanding why something doesn't work is the first step to discovering why it does. Aria's holographic form materialized beside them, its quantum-encoded consciousness providing insights that pure AI never could. Consider, the first human quantum experiments had a 100% failure rate. The breakthrough came not from improving the technology, but from changing how we thought about consciousness itself. The learning center hummed with activity. Where once there had been fear and resentment of humanity's deception, now there was a growing understanding. The council species had begun to grasp that humanity's greatest achievement wasn't their technology, it was surviving its development. High Counselor Venn drifted into the chamber, their bioluminescence patterns indicating deep thought. Ambassador Hayes, the final votes are in. The Council has officially ratified the Thunder Protocols. Catherine nodded, feeling the weight of centuries lifting. The Thunder Protocols, named after humanity's guardian ships, would fundamentally change how galactic civilization approached technological advancement. No longer would species race blindly toward power. Instead, they would advance together, with careful consideration of the consequences. There are still those who oppose this path, Venn continued, their lights dimming slightly. They say we're surrendering our sovereignty to human oversight. They're missing the point, Catherine replied, watching a group of alien engineers studying a safely contained quantum particle demonstration. We're not here to control or restrict. We're here to guide, to share the lessons we learned at such terrible cost. The Defiance's quantum core pulsed softly, its energy signature a reminder of what was possible when technology and wisdom worked in harmony. Aria's avatar turned toward the observation window, its form shifting through patterns that represented the merged consciousness of human and machine. New contact detected, Aria announced suddenly. Edge of charted space. Energy signature matches preliminary scans of builder artifacts. The chamber fell silent. The builders, the legendary species that had created the Nexus Hunters before their own extinction, had left ruins scattered across the galaxy. Finding active builder technology could change everything. What are your orders, Ambassador? High Counselor Venn asked, their bioluminescence pulsing with concern. Once, they would have immediately dispatched the Council's most advanced ships to claim such a discovery. Now, they waited for humanity's guidance. Catherine smiled. No orders, Counselor. This is a decision for all of us to make together. What we've learned from humanity's path isn't to fear advancement, but to approach it with the right mindset. The chamber's main display activated, showing the distant signal. Representatives from every council species gathered, their varied forms a testament to the diversity of intelligent life. But now they shared something new, an understanding that true strength lay not in technological superiority, but in the wisdom to use it properly. The builders fell because they created without constraint, Aria observed, its quantum consciousness processing centuries of human experience. They sought power without understanding its price. We offer a different path. Catherine watched as the gathered species began to discuss the discovery, not with fierce competition, but with thoughtful collaboration. The Thunder Protocols weren't just rules about technological development, they were a framework for species to grow together, supporting each other's advancement while guarding against the mistakes of the past. The Defiance's dark hull caught the light of a passing star, its surface rippling with quantum possibilities. The ship was no longer just a weapon or a guardian, it had become a teacher, a symbol of what was possible when wisdom guided power. "We spent centuries hiding our true capabilities," Catherine addressed the chamber. "Not out of fear, but out of hope. Hope that when the time came, the galaxy would be ready to learn what we had discovered, that the greatest power isn't in the ability to reshape reality, but in the choice of when not to." Outside, the stars stretched endless and bright. Somewhere out there, builder artifacts waited to be discovered, holding technologies that could elevate or destroy civilizations. But now, the galaxy would face those possibilities together, guided by the hard-won wisdom of a species that had walked the razor's edge of extinction and chosen a different path. The Defiance's quantum core hummed a note that resonated through space-time itself, not a warning or a threat, but a promise. Humanity had hidden their thunder not out of deception, but out of love for the infinite possibilities of life itself. Now, that thunder would echo across the stars not as a weapon of war, but as a call to unite in the greatest adventure of all, growing wise enough to handle the power we discover. In the quantum dark hull of the ancient warship, the combined consciousness of human and machine watched over a galaxy learning to walk the path of power with wisdom, of advancement with restraint, of thunder with purpose. The future was uncertain, but for the first time, it would be faced together.